Welcome back to Honestly Hannah, a podcast hosted by me, Hannah Coda, where I share all my honest opinions about all things going on in the world. I'm treating this podcast like a diary, and trust me, I have a lot to say. Welcome to this week's episode. I just want to start off by apologizing that this week's episode was normally going to be a One Direction themed podcast for their 11th anniversary that happened, this past week. It's still kind of along the lines of talking about One Direction, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But I have Rudy here with me. You all know him from a couple episodes back, and the fact that, he is my significant other.
Hello.
I dragged him into this episode. He really doesn't want to do this, y'all. But I think it's a really, really cool, interesting story that I realized that not a lot of people know about. Like, I feel like a lot of people have come in and out of our lives over the past almost 7 years that we've been dating. And, like, a lot of people think we started at a place that we didn't. And I don't know, I just thought it'd be nice for us to share our love story. So that is what this episode is about.
Yep.
Rudy and I have two different versions of this story. My version is the correct one.
Absolutely
and
not.
Rudy's is the over-dramatized one.
No.
But first, I just kind of want to talk about what happened this past week. Rudy and I were just watching the Olympics. We're really, really into the Olympics, I want to say.
Well, I am.
And I'll watch it.
No.
Yeah. Honestly,
No.
I just don't feel very patriotic. That's what it is.
Mm.
Unless we were just watching gymnastics right now. Like, I can get into gymnastics, I guess, because I know who the people are.
Yeah.
But there's some other sports that we're watching that I guess you like more.
No, it's not I just get entertained by all these very uncommon sports, and I like to
Yeah, I
watch
know.
them and learn them and figure out about all these sports that.
Yeah, they just added skateboarding this year, surfing, right?
Karate.
Karate. I
Mhm.
thought it was already in there.
No.
Or was that the taekwondo you were talking
Yeah,
about?
it was different.
Oh, okay.
It's a different style of martial arts.
Okay. Honestly, I didn't even know. Like, I knew the Olympics were starting. I knew, like, obviously all the athletes were in Tokyo already, but I had no idea that they started, like, Friday. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was Friday our time, but Saturday their time, right?
Yeah. Well, the only reason I knew they were starting is because they were making it a big deal because of COVID.
Yeah.
They were saying that COVID was in danger of them canceling the Olympics, and it was starting tomorrow. And I was like, oh, wow, they're actually starting tomorrow.
Which I do think that there were multiple athletes, at least from the U.S., that supposedly tested positive.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's really sad, especially because most of them spend their entire career,
Right.
like, working up to this.
Well, yeah, you got to think about a lot of athletes out there. Maybe they're in their peak time, and in another 4 years, they might not be as elite as they are now. So.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. There was something else that I wanted to talk to you about.
Oh, we're watching the show, The Movies That Made Us.
Oh, yeah. So Rudy and I, it's funny because I was thinking about this when I was in the kitchen right now, but I think I've kind of explained this on the podcast too. Like, I really like to understand the meaning behind things and, like, why things are the way that they are. But in my sense, I like that in terms of, like, behavior. Why do people behave the way they do? You could care less about that, but you really, really like to find out, like, why and how things are made. Like,
Yeah.
you love that show of, like, you will figure something out, like, by yourself, and no matter how long it takes.
Yeah.
Where I have no patience for that. And I was thinking about that, like, we're very similar, just, like, on different topics.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I'm a very curious individual. Like, I like
so
to.
am I, yeah.
I like to, I guess, break things down and, like, the core of it and try to figure out how it's built and how it's made and just wrapping my brain into that. But you're more. I feel like for you, it's more. There has to be like I guess, like an artistic sense of that. Like
Yeah.
you like to relate because this young actress that became like a super elite actress now started off here, and this is how her career started. And it,
I guess mine is just like more people oriented,
yeah,
where yours is like like physical objects or like
right,
even like. But okay, so yeah, we were watching How Was It Made, but like movies edition, and we were both. I feel like that's one thing that like we're both really interested in because it kind of it's like the logistics,
right,
like and you like that part, whereas I like the story part of it and
yeah,
the narrative, and like
exactly,
I want to know like how they picked these actors and actresses or whatever based on like their I don't know like their background, right?
right.
So yeah, I was
And
just
I'm
thinking
more of
about
how
like
the
kitchen.
stage got built in like
Yeah.
24 hours, and they
Why
blew it
they
up the next day.
yeah, and like the budget and
Yeah,
like what like how they picked. Like we were just watching the one from Back to the Future, and I could totally tell like, or even the one from Forrest Gump. Like you were so into like how they actually made an explosion like in the movie,
yeah.
like it's real, like when he's in Vietnam.
Or some of the stuff that looks very realistic, and you're like, oh, it's actually fake, or
Yeah.
stuff that is actually fake, and you're like, oh wow, that was actually real, and you're like, so
Mhm.
those are the little things that catch my attention.
Yeah. I think that is probably I think what I just said is kind of like the definition and like the core of our relationship. We are so alike, but we are so different.
Yeah,
Like at some points of our relationship, I would have been like, yeah, opposites attract. And you know, when we like hang out with our friends and stuff, like they're like, how did you two like fall in love? Like how did you two like become you guys, you know? And
right. Yeah, I
um
get to ask questions a lot. I'm very chaotic. Not in the sense of like not in the sense of like my behavior, but I'm just very chaotic.
oh
My
no,
world
with
is
your behavior too.
like I don't know, like I feel like my world is just always on the go, and like it's so like unorganized and like it's so chaotic, and like
You're very spontaneous,
yeah,
and like spontaneity is like my worst fear. I have to have everything planned,
right.
organized. I need to know what's gonna happen before it happens, and like I think you hate that too.
Yeah, because I'm more driven on like feeling like if I wake up today and like I don't feel like doing anything, then I won't do anything. But like if I wake up today and I feel like going out and going on a hike, then I'll just get up and go on a hike. But Hannah has to have a hike planned out 3 weeks before, or she needs to make sure this is all planned out before we even wake up, and like how
Mhm.
and she needs to have planned out how she's gonna wake up. Like she even plans out how she's gonna wake up and how her mood is gonna be when she wakes up. And like I'm absolutely not like that.
Yeah, but and it's so funny because I feel like both of those things like come from like we're very intuitive people, which doesn't really make any sense like with my logical planning, like but I'm also very intuitive, and so like it's funny because it kind of derives from the same place, but like we just take it like opposite directions. It's caused a lot of issues in our relationship, and like don't get me wrong, like it's taken us so long and like so much work, and I honestly probably wouldn't have had it any other way. um but we are the healthiest and like I think most in love we've ever been. And it's, you know, obviously been like a couple years, and yeah, I think really stating that relationships, like I know people say this, but like relationships really are not easy. Like it's not
Yeah,
something like you could be the most compatible with someone. You could literally, you know, the stars and the signs and all everything like they
Jesus.
Rudy hates astrology, but like you could be the perfect match in every sense, but there's so many factors that go into a quote unquote successful relationship. Um
I think it's just I wouldn't call it like we're like because I don't know when you say like well this is the most love we've been. I don't think it's like for me like it's like love what you see on TV. Like it's not like that
yeah.
puppy love that people think. I
Yeah,
think
like we're for sure not like anywhere in
it's
a
yeah.
honeymoon phase.
So like I
No.
think it's more of a love of like caring for each other,
Mhm.
and being in a good state where we just I guess understand each other very well now,
Mhm.
and we you know like so I wouldn't call it like oh like the most love we've ever been in our lives. Like no, I feel like we're just in a very good state. how, like I don't know like how to explain that more deeper. Like I guess we're like mixing well. Like I don't know, like we're
Yeah.
just very
Well, we know each other's like triggers, right? We know each other's not that anything is like off topic, but like we know if like we go to a certain place with the other person, like it's gonna lead to this, right? Or like I don't know, just like knowing whether or not to do something rather than to do another thing, or like,
I think it's
just
like becomes more of
communicating.
like a partnership, you know, like it
Yeah.
becomes more of like a best friend where like you know like we understand each other so much that we know how the other person's gonna have fun. So when we do things that will shape like that would trigger that fun state of the other person.
Yeah, and I feel like because we've been through so many experiences too, like we also know like our likings kind of have mixed together
Yeah,
too. Like we like to do kind of the same things now, whereas before I feel like we were both kind of like in our own worlds, and that's perfectly fine. Like you can do like whatever you want, and your significant other doesn't have to be there. But I definitely think we're at a point in our lives where we've kind of been through it all, like with the partying and like, not that we don't like like not like had to have we. It's not like we don't know how to have
liked to
a
have
good time.
have a good time.
But I just think that yeah, like we both work full time now, so it's like
Yeah,
no, we're not going out on a Tuesday night and like making irresponsible decisions or whatever, because I mean we could, but like we know what that's gonna lead up to.
right.
And
It's like
like
the quote that we always make fun of that we saw on Instagram, or the one you show me, where it's just like the feeling of the feeling of being sober outweighs the feeling of
being drunk.
being
Yeah.
yeah. Oh no, the feeling of not being hungover the next day
Is
outweighs the feeling of being drunk or something like that. I
yeah,
forgot how the quote
like
goes,
I
but
basically saying like I rather like not being hungover than to be drunk. Yeah.
yeah,
And yeah, we're kind of just like at that point, and just like everything else like in our lives, right? Like our friends, we obviously have very similar friends, but we also have friends like outside of us. um and yeah, like our work life balance is about the same right now, like the way that we are living our physical lives.
I wouldn't say that, but
What do you mean?
kind of you start your day at 1 p.m. o'clock.
I do not. Rudy is just a morning person, and I am not a morning person. So like, and it entails like with our jobs, like you work like in like a school type setting, so like you have to be up early,
Yeah,
whereas I work in the entertainment industry, so most of my like actual work of like what I physically am doing is at night. So like, it yeah, in that aspect, like you do most things in the morning, and I do most things like in the
yeah.
afternoon
By the
slash
time I'm
night.
getting off of work, Hannah's barely starting her day.
Well, yeah, because
Yeah,
of
so we
what
do
I'm
not
doing.
work at the same time. We don't have the same work schedule.
Yeah, but we still have the same like mentality, like when we're
Yeah,
going into the work week and stuff, which I think was important because we were living kind of like different lives before, and it just made it difficult in that sense.
yeah.
But yeah, so that's just like a little spiel about like what we think relationships are. It's definitely more of a partnership and about companionship now. Obviously than like when we first started dating, even like the first couple years, like yeah, like it's just completely different, I feel like, than what it is now. But I want this to kind of be a series on the podcast. I know Rudy it's gonna be like pulling teeth, but it's okay. I don't know when the episodes are gonna come out, but I really want this to be part one of our story. And we're gonna start off with like how it all started. So the rest of the episode is going to be my version, and then Rudy's
No,
version,
just
and then
Hannah's
me
version.
like jumping in there of like what actually happened. So we're gonna start from the beginning all the way up, I think probably like into our first year of our relationship.
I guess so. I don't
Anyways,
remember anything that happened, so I have a very bad memory when it comes to things like
no,
this.
but when we start talking about it, you're like, oh wait, like yeah, that did
Yeah,
happen.
like usually the way it goes is she'll tell a story, and then I'll be like, "That's not how it happened. It happened like this," because I don't remember how things happened.
Okay, whatever. But yeah, so let's go ahead and jump into how we met. Okay, so I guess let's just start from the beginning. I was 19 and you were 22, right?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so. It's a
yeah,
long
yeah.
time ago.
You were for sure over 21.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
I yes, this is a big part of that story. um, so I was 19 years old and I had just turned 19. I was in college. I was going to Cal State LA at the time, and I was working a part-time job. And surprise, surprise, that's actually where Rudy and I met. A lot of people, like I said, a lot of people don't know it because eventually later down the road we went to school together. So a lot of people from school think that
We met at school.
we met at school, and that is 100% not the case.
Yeah.
We had already been dating for a couple years before you eventually came.
Years.
Yeah, it was years.
No,
We
it
had
was
been
like a
dating.
year.
We had been dating for like 2 or 3 years already.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, right. That's right. Because it was
Yeah.
2014.
Yeah. Yeah. So 2014, I was 19 years old. I had just turned 19. We were working at the same place. And so where I was working is actually currently where I work now, full time. And I had known from the very, very beginning that I wanted to work my way up at this place. And I wanted to be a part of the management team, and like this is what I wanted to do with my life. I knew that from the very beginning. It's actually one of the reasons why I applied to work at this place. So I was like fully like on like, hey, how can I
Yeah,
get.
I do remember that. You were very determined.
Yeah, I was very just like, how do I get promoted? I want to do this, I want to do that. Whereas Rudy was quite the opposite.
Yeah, I didn't really. I didn't really have more interest in the job. It was more of a like, oh, I was come here to get
And it
paid.
was part-time.
It
It
was
was a
part time.
part-time
It was like
job.
clock in, clock out, and come in, do my job, and then just leave. I was more of a try to get the most fun out of being at work than anything
Yeah.
else.
It's a fun place to work.
Debatable.
I think it's a fun place to work. It has its days like any other job, but
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure
it's a
has
fun
its
place to
days.
work.
But other than that, the people itself makes it what it is.
Yeah. So I was working, and there was, a promotion coming up, which it was just a small little promotion. I had only been working there for a couple months. I had gotten hired at the end of my freshman year of college. I worked there throughout the summer, and like now it's like fall, so like September, October.
Right.
And so I'd only literally had been working there for a couple months, but a promotion came up, and I was like, okay, like I think I can do this. Let me talk to one of my supervisors about it. So I was working one day, and I pulled my supervisor aside, and I was like, "Hey, I really think I would be good for this. Like, can you give me more information about the promotion?" And she was like, "Oh yeah." She's like, "Hold on." And she went to go do something, and then she came right back, and she got me, and she brought me down to like our offices so that I could fill out like a paper
Mm-hmm.
to apply for the promotion. She was like, "I'll back you. I think you're great. Yeah, like you should definitely apply for this promotion." And I was like, all right, cool. And of course, at that time, Rudy was working, or like he was like doing
Yeah, I
something in those
was.
offices. Because you were already in that role
Yeah.
already.
Right.
So you were already like a step above me, pretty
Well,
much.
this is all coming back to memory now.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I don't tell this story often, but like when I do, like it is very memorable because the people that were there were like at this time we're like, really? That's how it happened? And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, so I go down and I fill out this paper, old school, like nothing was really online. And
Yeah.
it wasn't even that long ago, but nothing was online. It was just all internal, and it was just like, hey, fill out this paper, you'll get an interview, whatever. So I'm filling out this paper like at this like desk or like at this counter, and Rudy is just kind of talking to me like, hey, like, oh, you're applying because obviously it's for his position. And he's like, oh, okay, like, why do you want to do this?
Yeah.
I was like, um, because I like it here, and I want to work here like forever if I could. And yeah, and I distinctly remember you having a conversation with someone else who was also like in the offices,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it was about football.
Yeah, I think so. It was something like that.
And you
But first
were,
of all, I was trying to convince you not to apply.
yeah.
I was trying to tell you do not apply. But then I was just like, maybe you should apply because then you'll be able to take my shifts. Because in
Yeah.
the position with that position, that role entitled to like you working a lot of events and they're always very limited in staff. So like
Hmm.
when you wanted to take a day off, it was very difficult to find somebody to replace you because there was already very limited staff to work those events.
Yeah.
So like side of me was like, oh okay, maybe if she gets hired, then you know it was a love hate relationship in that job. So as much as I love the people there in the job, it was more like I need to take more days off.
Yeah. And I don't know, like you were very, I just will never forget. Like, and that was really our first encounter. Like we had seen each other like
Yeah,
at the job and like at work in our shifts and stuff, but like that was my first interaction with you. I just remember you being very, very charismatic and very just like that guy. Do you know what I mean? Like the kind of like the class clown, but also just
yeah, it was
like,
very playful,
but
very
like a dick almost. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like you just had a very like confident and like dominant like personality, and I knew that right from the beginning. And at that time, and like I still am. I've never like not been the way that I am right
right.
now, but at that time I was still, I didn't know anyone there, and
I
there's
was
a
just I just remember when we were talking, like you were very like the reason why I say was she was very determined is because she was turning down like every time I try to make a joke, like she was just like ah ha ha. It was like I'm just trying to fill out this application, like so like she was very like stickler like to like what she was there to do. She was just there to
yeah.
fill out the application and go. Like she didn't really mind anything else, and I was like, oh okay, like
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I also wasn't trying to really date anyone, or that wasn't really in my. I actually was dating someone now that I'm thinking about it. No, I wasn't trying to date anyone because I was dating someone at that time. And wasn't really
this is
like,
all news to me. I didn't know this.
yeah. Yeah. Yes, you did.
No, I did.
Yes, you did. This person also worked with us.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. I don't think you ever knew who this person was. Like they got hired when I got hired.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it wasn't anything, obviously. But yeah, so I was filling out the paperwork, and I remember you were talking about football because at that time you were playing football at community
Oh yeah,
college.
yeah, yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, you play football? Like that's cool. I really like football." And like I've always liked football. Football has always been my sport. And I was like, "Oh, what position do you play?" And that
Right.
that is actually what like kind of sparked my interest.
Yeah.
Because you were like, "Yeah, I just came back from practice," or something like that. And I was like, "Okay, whatever." And then right before I left, before I turned in my application, the supervisor who had brought me down to fill out the application was like, "You guys would look good together. You guys should like kind of date." And I remember it just being so out of like left field. Like, what? Like, what are you saying? Like, what are you talking about? Like, we were just like, I wasn't even trying to talk to you. Like, I literally was trying to just fill out this application. And she was like, "No, like, I think you guys would look really, really good together." And I was like, "Ma'am, I don't know who this person is. Like, leave me alone. I want to go back to my position now."
Yeah. It's hilarious because every single time we see this person, she's like, "Oh, you guys are still together," or like,
Like, I
"Is
did
oh
that.
yeah," she's like, "Oh, my favorite couple,"
Yeah.
and who would have
And
thought that 7 years later.
yeah. And it honestly, she kind of just like planted the seed, to be honest, because, you
I
know,
don't know how much credit we should give her,
I,
but
yeah,
she
but
takes all credit for it. But I'm like, I don't know if she really knew or she just says
I
that.
think she
But
was just saying it, honestly. I don't think she thought that anything would really come out of it. But anyways, so I ended up getting hired for that
right,
promotion. Um,
I think that was the last time I saw you until you got
until
hired.
until I got hired. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I got hired, and I was in training. And it's a couple months later now. It's closer to Thanksgiving.
right,
And yeah, and then one day I was in training for this position, and Rudy wasn't the person who was training me, but where he was at, I was being trained by this other girl, and Rudy was at the same place where this other girl was. And I was having a conversation with this girl, just like trying to pass the time, whatever you would do for, your part-time shift or whatever. And we were talking about all sorts of things. I had just started really, like, I had really just started working there. So I really didn't know a lot of people, and I
Yeah.
was trying to make friends. And we were just talking about different things. She had like a longtime boyfriend, and we were talking just like about different like aspects about dating and
I
stuff like
remember
that.
this, but I don't remember who was the person we were
I
talking
do.
to. Oh, I was like,
I'll tell
I
you
have no
later.
remembrance of who
I'll
it
tell you
was.
later. Yeah, you do. Anyways, and then for some reason, the topic of just like characteristics that we like about men came up. Like, and then she was like, "Oh, I like a guy that's like this," and I was like, "Oh, I like a guy who's like that." And mind you, Rudy is not in this conversation. He's there with us, but he's just like kind of off to the side, like actually probably doing his job.
Yeah.
And we're just like on the other side and just like having this full blown conversation. And then she goes, she's like, "Oh, I like a man with a beard." And I was like, "Ooh, no. I do not like a man with a beard." I was like, "I have very sensitive skin, and like if he would try to
No, you were
kiss
like, I
me,
would never date a guy with facial hair. And
yeah."
then that's why
And
I
that
was
was the
just like, and I
reason.
took offense to that, and I was like, excuse me.
And then Rudy jumps in the conversation and is like, "Excuse me." So like basically you were like, "So you're never going to date me?" And I was
I was like,
like,
you something like you would never date me or something like that. I don't remember what I said, but
"Yeah.
it was more in the sense of like, I was like, yo, I keep my beard well maintained. Like, I was just like, I have very nice maintained facial hair.
Yeah."
Like,
And for those of you who are just listening to this podcast, I'll go ahead and post like a picture of us on my Instagram and my socials. So if you guys want to see what Rudy looks like and you don't know what he looks like, go there.
yeah. So then that's the whole conversation. We had like a debate about facial hair,
Yep.
and then
Like a full blown like 30-minute
and then the
like
converse. Oh, and I
conversation.
remember bringing it up because and she's like something about shaving your beard, and I was just like, well, I didn't even shave it for my sister's wedding, so why would I shave it off?
Yeah, you were like, "I've never shaved my
Yeah, I've
beard
never shaved my
ever in my
beard
life. Like, why
in
would
my
I
life.
shave it
What
for
would
a
I?
girl?"
Right, something like that. And I was
Yeah.
just like, oh, okay. But there was like a debate going back and forward.
And then it was time for me to like move locations. Like it was time for me to like go learn and about something else in my training. And I get into an elevator and like for some reason you got into the elevator too, and cuz you had to go somewhere else, and then we were both in the elevator together, and I just remember being like, this is so awkward. And then we finally get, cuz like it wasn't like, it was a playful conversation, but by the end of the conversation, I was upset, and so were
Yeah,
you. So it was like,
we both have
oh
very
my
like
God.
strong
I
personalities,
know. We
so
had like started fighting, so like, like it was like a real fight at that
yeah,
point. And maybe that should have been like a telltale sign
yeah,
of how our relationship was gonna be. But, anyways, so we get into the elevator together, and we are just kind of awkwardly like, "Yep, like, I kind of
and then
hate
we
you right
stop. I
now."
remember we stopped
We
at the front of the
stop.
doors, or I was there wasting time or something like that, and you were there, and we just kept talking, and then
Well, hold on. Before even that, I just want to include this little detail. We are in the elevator together. It takes forever to get to the floor that we need to. We finally get to the floor that we're both supposed to go to. The elevator's door is open, and it's that same
oh
supervisor
yeah, the same
who was
employee.
like, "You guys would look good together." The door's open, and it's literally her, and she's like, "Oh,
She's like,
my
oh my
favorite
couple,
couple,
yeah.
my favorite couple." And I was like, "Oh, no, 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 we are not a couple." And she was like, "Oh, it's not gonna work out." And I was like, "Ma'am, I barely know this man. Like, we just had a full blown argument. I am not dating him." Like, and it was just very serendipitous. Like, it was very just like, wow, like maybe like something is
Right.
going on here, you know? But yeah, and then the rest of the night we kind of just were talking, and I don't know, nothing really like major, I guess, came from it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. Yeah, I think that's the last thing I remember, just being there, and then that's it.
The next time, the next time we run into each
It
other,
was like lineup, right?
yeah,
It was lineup, and we
yeah, it
were.
was. Yeah, it
I
was.
remember
Yeah,
you were
we were
there
getting
because
briefed
we were
for
getting
that
briefed
day.
for an event, and she was looking at the schedule, and she sees there's like a warm up or like a
A
load in or
rehearsal.
rehearsal for all these people for an award show, which I didn't have. I didn't care for any of that. So I was just like, all
Mhm.
right. And then, and she wanted to work this event so bad, and
Mhm.
I was just like, why? I was like, what's what's the reason? Like, it's just an
Yeah.
event. Like, I was like, you're gonna stand there for 10 hours on your
Yeah.
feet. Like, there's nothing that important, and this is where the point of my whole life and my arch nemesis comes
Oh
to
my
life.
god, chill out. So,
And she took advantage of me.
okay, hold on. Okay, this is where we're gonna stop. Now I'm gonna tell what
No, no,
actually
no, no,
happened.
no.
So yes, the next time I see you, it was like another event, another day, maybe like a week later or
Yeah.
whatever. I do see that One Direction is on the schedule to come and rehearse. And I was like, oh my God, I need to find a way to work this. Like, I need
Mm,
to meet them. I hadn't met them yet. I was full fangirl, right? And then I kind of see you, like, I had said hi to you, like, before we had even started briefing and
yeah.
whatever. And then I remember looking at you, and I think you said to someone, like, oh, yeah, like, I'm working the rehearsals. And I
Yeah,
was
they
like,
usually put me in those like positions. Like that was like my spot. Like I was in
yeah,
like this spot, and like as much as I hated it, like it was just like they always assign me for that spot,
yeah.
and I was just like, oh my god, it was like a Saturday or was it like some
Yeah,
random
it
day,
was
and I
like a
was just
Friday or Saturday. Yeah,
no, it
it
was like
had
a
to have been.
Sunday.
No, it had to have been a
So I
Friday or
was just like, oh,
Saturday.
maybe the thing was a Saturday because I was just like, do I really want to spend my Saturday here at work?
Yeah. And I was like, "Oh my god, he's working it. I need to find a way to work it." And at this point, I think I was almost out of training and like
Yeah.
I need to be there, right? And so we go and work our shift, whatever. And then I go on my break and I go to the break room to take my break. And lo and behold, there is Rudy. Rudy is
Mm.
also on his break and he's eating like a pretzel or nachos or something like that. And you were having lunch and I full blown like run up to you and I'm like, "Hey, so I know this is kind of weird, but can I have your phone number?" And you were like, yeah, like
I guess.
why?" And
Yeah.
I was like, well, I kind of overheard you, and I heard that you're working the One Direction rehearsals, and I really need to know when they're there because I need to know when I need to show up so that I could be there. And you were like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah. I
this
was like,
girl is insane. Like, what are you talking about? Um,
yeah. I was like literally on my lunch, and then that spilled, and I was just like, what the heck is going on? And I was just like, okay. I was like, sure.
and I'm like, please.
Which is
So
this was all her plan to get my phone number.
no, okay, so
Yeah.
this is where we like get it, like we disagree, right? So Rudy claims that I planned all of this out so that I could
Yes.
get his phone number because I knew that I was gonna try to like get at him at some point.
Yes.
In my
I
mind,
thought she was gonna kidnap me. First of all,
oh my god, what? How would I kidnap
I don't
you?
know. Have my phone number. You know exactly what I was gonna work. Exactly what time I got off.
Okay, whatever. But anyways, so Rudy gives me his phone number and I'm like, okay, yeah, like please text me. Like please text me when they're there. So I'll just be waiting outside. Like it's okay.
I
Like I
was
just need
I
to
was
know when
like
they're
50%
there.
away from reporting this. Like I was like, this crazy girl literally wants us. You work here. You're gonna stalk the people that are coming. Like I
Yeah.
don't know that should be the right thing to do. Like
Yeah, and mind you, like I had
just
just
got
started
hired
working.
there.
Yeah, I
Like
just got hired. I just got promoted, whatever. So, I get your number, I think. No, we get each other's number.
yeah, we get
We
each
get each
other's
other's
number.
number, and yes, I ended up texting you that night.
Yes,
I ended up texting you that
that's right.
night.
She
Like,
made the
yes,
first move.
yes, I made the first move because after that whole day, I
Stay
was
woke,
like,
kings.
oh my God. After that first day, I was like, you know what? He's kind of cute, and I do want to make him my friend. So.
Yeah, she wanted to use me. She wanted to keep me close because she knew I work all these events, and she's like, just in case One Direction.
Anyways, so and then we kind of were just like texting, nothing like serious, like just kind of
Yeah.
like, like I don't know. I honestly have no idea what we were talking
Yeah, I don't
about,
remember what we were
but we
talking
were just texting. Anyways, so I think you did text me when One Direction was there, but
Yeah,
I
I think I
was,
called you or texted you one of those things and you didn't
yeah.
answer, and I was just like, well, I was like,
I
there's.
think I think I had something for school or something where I was busy and I
But this
couldn't
is where
come.
the Hannah moment comes in because I called her or I texted her something. I'm like, oh yeah, they're about to go in, or like, oh, they're coming out. She's like, oh, thank you, I know. And
Oh.
I was just like, you know, and she's like, yeah, I know everything. And I was just like, okay,
Yeah, because I had full blown, like, already, like, I was in
yeah,
full fangirl mode. I knew that they were there. I knew what time that they were going to be done. Like, I knew. But I wasn't there because I didn't, I talked to my friends and I was like, this is kind of weird if we tried to show up to
yeah.
this.
But if you know Hannah, that's Hannah. I already know, I know,
Anyways,
and that's when I knew that she did that all just to get my number.
Yeah, I did.
Exactly. There you go. Proves my
But
point,
like,
ladies and gentlemen. There
I
it is.
wasn't, again,
It's been 7 years of argument, and she finally admitted it.
okay, but I didn't have like this master plan of like I'm gonna make him mine. Like I did not.
Yes, she did.
I did not. I did
Yes,
not have a full blown plan to try to kidnap you or like have this relationship with you. That was not my plan
100%
at
was a plan.
all.
Yes.
Anyways, and so we have each other's numbers now. We're kind of texting, we're kind of talking. And then literally, I think the next day, right? Yeah, it had to have been. The next day, we came to work. I ended up seeing One Direction like perform. I saw them perform on stage like everyone else. And then, but that whole day, by fate, again, we got put together.
Yeah.
I found out later, though, that it was not by fate, that you requested to work with me because I got put at this place where you could kind of like sit down and it was more of like a chill spot.
Oh, okay. I was like, I don't remember any of
And
this.
you were originally in there because you had gotten there early.
Relax,
Like,
Hannah.
okay, hold on, hold on, hold
Relax.
on. You had gotten there earlier because you were scheduled to work earlier, and I came in like the second shift or whatever, and you had to stay the entire day. So you got put in this place, and then our supervisor, who is now actually like one of my closest friends, um, he was like, all right, Rudy, like you're gonna go here, whatever. And then I distinctly remember you going up to him and being like, hey, can I just like stay with Hannah? And him being like, okay, whatever, and like left you in there with me because I had just gotten out of training and I just don't think
No, I think
he,
that was your last, because that position is kind of like your last training point,
yeah,
and like it's kind of like the thing they give you last, because it's like
it's kind of a lot.
it's. I don't want to go into that, but it's like only certain people get to put in that position, so it's just like one of those things where like the chances of you being here are like very slim. So it's just kind of like
Yeah,
So like it's like you need to know, but you don't really need to know it. So
yeah.
like the reason why I requested it is because don't tell my ex boss, but I just wanted to sit down all day. I didn't want to stand anywhere.
That's such a lie. You wanted to be with
No,
me.
I didn't. That's why I
Yes,
said
okay. No,
relax.
no,
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 I
no, no.
didn't.
You wanted to be with me
No, I
because I
didn't.
was going to be in there by myself and you saw an opportunity to be with me the
An
entire day.
opportunity to be there the whole day.
Mhm.
No, absolutely
Okay,
no.
whatever. We'll ask my friend that
Yes,
put
we'll ask.
you
Absolutely. You can
in
ask
there.
him. Call him right now. No.
Anyways, so
She
Rudy,
invaded my space.
okay, whatever. Anyways, so Rudy and I ended up being together the entire day for this position, and mind you, it was like at that point it was probably like an 8 hour shift after that,
Yeah, it was.
and we were in,
We just bickering
together.
for 8 hours.
Yeah, but there was a moment, and there was a
Oh, here
moment.
we go.
And
This
it
is the
was a
moment of
total, okay,
Hanakota.
chill out. It was a total like storybook fairy tale moment. Um and I think it was about love languages. Now that I'm thinking about it.
No, it wasn't.
No,
It
it
was
was
a
maybe like
question, and that's what.
wait. But there were multiple things we talked about. But yes, what you're talking about was the moment. We were talking about personality tests and like because he was in college, I was in college at that time, and
So we were
we
just challenging each other's, like, I guess, like, perspectives
knowledge
and
and
views and things
yeah, and we ended up talking.
about love, and then the question was like, "So are you a hopeless romantic?" And
Yep.
that's when I asked you, and then I don't remember what you said.
And you like locked into my eyes, and
Yeah,
mind you, we don't even
I
fucking
swear to
know
God, I
each
never
other.
locked in eyes with her.
Yes, we
No,
did.
I didn't.
Yes, we did.
See,
Yes,
this
we
is
did.
Hannah's like
No,
happy ending
I
story.
vividly remember this of you being like, "So are you a hopeless romantic?"
What? So I just hold your hand and stare at you, and then hold your head, or
You
what?
might as well basically
No, I
have
didn't,
like,
Hannah.
yes, you did. Anyway, so he asked, and we do agree on this part. He asked, "Are you a hopeless romantic?" And I said yes. And because that whole time we were kind of talking about cynical things, and I was like, "I'm a realist. I'm a cynic, but I'm also,
Oh yeah, I remember that. I was just
yeah,
like, you were like talking about you're a realist, like you're a very pessimistic person,
yeah,
and I'm a very optimistic person.
yeah." So we were
And
like
so I was just like,
opposites.
so do you believe? Are you a hopeless romantic? It was like my question, and then that's where it kind of just. So and she was like, yes, I am.
And I was like, "Are you a hopeless romantic?" And he was like, "Yeah, actually, like I am." And I just
And I think we started talking about like dates, and then and that's why I was just like, oh, like I don't know if that happened, but I was just like, well, let me take you on a date, or let me show you something like a date.
So it was that same day, but it wasn't then.
Oh,
But yeah, we very much had a moment. There was a moment, and there was an attraction, and it was very much
yeah,
like
it was the
real.
Scorpio moons and
Oh, Rudy, shut
The
up! Oh
Virgo
my God,
suns
he hates
and the
again everything about astrology.
Sagittarius oceans coming all together in the
Okay,
world, and
Rudy, stop. Anyways, it was that night. So again, we have each other's numbers, and you just basically texted me like flat out, like, hey, like let me take you out on a date.
yeah,
And I remember being in like my dorm room bathroom, being like, like he asked, like I knew it, like I knew we felt something, like, and it's something I've never felt in my entire life. Like I'd never, like I thought I had been in love, like in high school and like all this stuff, and like I was like, whoa, like what is this feeling? Like I don't think I've ever felt like this before, like ever in my entire
yeah,
life, where everything just felt right. Like
right.
we were in each other's lives at the right moment, at the right time, and yeah. So then it's time for the first date. And I kind of want to tell this one because I feel like it's just the sweetest thing I think you've ever done for me was our first date.
Wow, rude.
No, because I think back on it now and I'm like, wow, that was a really good first date. That was a really, really good first date. I don't think anybody's really ever, like, if I've heard other first dates from our friends, like, no one's really topped it.
Yeah. Well, it was just funny, but anyways, the reason, like, going back to the whole date thing, I remember the only reason it's funny, the only reason I actually wanted to talk to Hannah was because she was such on a high horse and she thought about so big about herself that, like, and she was like, oh, never date with a guy with a facial hair. So I took that as, like, a competitive, like, enemy or, like,
Okay, so you're trying to tell me that you were not in love with me?
I wasn't in love. Sorry, Hannah.
You're such a fucking liar. You're such a liar.
But yeah, it was also a part of that where it was just like Hannah's very like has a very alpha personality and she's very like out there. So I was just like I don't know, I guess it was like a challenging perspective where I was just like Hannah like she was like I was like this girl was like challenging me like
Yeah, I mean, I
yeah,
was very much, and I did like that you were fighting back with me
yeah.
too. You
Like it
know,
was just
like I
if there's a
can't.
definition of a relationship is like nothing but bickering. Like that's all of us are like we just bicker like back and
We're
forth.
just very strong-headed. So
Yeah.
like, yeah, like if you have a strong perspective on something, and I have the opposite, woo, it's
We'll
gonna be
just
World War
yeah,
Three.
we'll just don't back down, and we'll just have to like let it. We'll learn to
Yeah.
let it go, and then we'll
No, like I definitely think now, like we're fine.
yeah,
Now we know when to like let it go or whatever. Or if we're like really fighting about it, I'm like, okay, like you really, really feel strongly about this.
yeah,
But yeah, you're so dumb. No, you were very
yeah.
much in love with
No.
me. I know, yes, you were. Anyways, so we go on our first date and we plan it out. And when
Nah, this
Rudy,
was supposed to be just about how we met. Now we're
yeah,
going into our first date.
I said our first date up into maybe the year. Okay, how about we just after our first date and then
Okay.
yeah, our first
Yeah.
date.
So I mean, you already
And then a
started.
whole nother episode on the first time we told each other we loved each other
Oh
in our
Jesus.
first year of the
I have
relationship.
not agreed to that.
Okay,
So
whatever. Anyways, so we go on our first date, and mind you, Rudy sets up our first date after like our day of work. So it was like at 10, 11 p.m. He was like, yeah, we're gonna go after work. And I was like, is this like a booty call or something? Like, I don't know if I'm down for this. Like, and it was because I think that was the only time both you and I had
yeah.
available because
No,
it
it's
was
the only
about to be the
time.
holidays.
It was the only time we saw each other.
Yeah.
Because I remember our schedules didn't align, and this was the only day that we both worked the same time.
Mm-hmm.
When we were both working a shift together.
But it was a both. I think it was just the only day that we
Yeah.
both had available. Again, like it
Because
was
it was a
about to.
random day too. It was like a
Yeah, it was like
it
a
was like a Wednesday or
Tuesday.
a Tuesday or
Yeah, it
something
was
like that.
something. But it was because the holidays were coming up.
I
Like
think
it was
so.
Thanksgiving weekend, I think, or something like
Probably,
that.
yeah.
And so, anyways, so we go. So first of all, I show up to work, and Rudy texts me saying, "Hey, sorry, yeah, I'm calling off today. I'm not coming into work. Like, sorry, I'm gonna have to like reschedule." And I'm like, I'm so sad because I was like looking forward to this. I again, we had this moment, and I was like, oh, okay, like this might actually be something, you know. And then I show up to work, and I'm reading this text saying that he's not coming, and I literally look up and he's like right in my face, and you didn't mean to be, you meant to like surprise me later
Yeah.
on, but like I was like, oh, and my face turned
Yeah.
bright red. And I was like, oh, okay, so does that mean you're here? Like, and you were like, yeah, like I was just like messing with you, like whatever. And then you were like, good, nice to see that you were like,
Looking forward to it
yeah,
or
looking
something.
forward to it. And I was like, okay, like now I feel like he's kind of playing games. Like I'm kind of like unsure about it. Whatever, like we work our shift. And then I was kind of nervous that our coworkers were seeing us walk to the parking lot together. But I was like, whatever. So then I get into your car. And mind you, it's a blind date. Like, he does not tell me where we're going. All I know is he said, hey, like, we're going to be out pretty late. And I was like, okay, my little 19-year-old self, I was like, I'm not 21. Like, I want to let you know, like, I'm not 21. I can't go out. And you're like, no, no, no. Like, if it's fine. I'm like, what do I need to bring? Like, what do I need to wear? And I think you just said, like, bring a jacket or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, whatever. So then we're driving, and Rudy takes me to somewhere I've never been before. I was so nervous because I was like, okay, if he's trying to kill me right now, or, if he,
This would be the
like,
perfect.
if this doesn't end well, like, how am I getting home? I had no idea where we were at because I'd
Now that I think
never,
about it, that is pretty weird. Like,
yeah, and I'd never been on that side of town. Like, I'd never
yeah, we grew up
been
in polar opposite sides of like
of LA.
LA.
Yeah. And LA's like huge, guys. So I was like, where are we going? And then I noticed that we're kind of going in the direction of the beach, but like I wasn't sure. And not to mention, it was the end of November. It was foggy and cold and it was late. And then we show up, and then I finally like get out of the car and I see that we're at the beach. We're at Redondo Beach, which I was like, okay, I've been to Redondo Beach Pier. Like, at least I know where I'm kind of at. Like, the whole time I was freaking out in your car, like, trying to keep it cool.
Yeah.
And then, I don't think I've ever told you this, but you got out of the car and you were like, wait here. And I was like, I'm not
This
fucking
is the
waiting.
moment.
I was like, I'm not fucking waiting in this car. There's no way. Like, he's going to kill me. Like, and so I get out of the car to see what you're doing. You were like, oh, I told you to wait or something like that. And you had gone around to the trunk. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, what is he getting out of the trunk? Like, I'm so nervous. But then I go over, you were like, okay, come here. And then I was like, okay, and like slowly walking towards the trunk. And to my surprise, it was nothing that I was thinking about. It was nothing. You had brought a full blown s'mores kit and
Yeah.
like a thing to like a lighter. What is it? I
Just
don't
like a
know.
little stove to make s'mores, like a little one of those like camping stoves. And then I brought
Yeah.
like a stove and s'mores, and then the plan. Well, the date went right. The date went is that we were gonna go to the lifeguard house while we watched the beach and make s'mores,
Yeah. So we start walking towards the beach. We pick a
which is the
lifeguard.
longest walk of my life.
We pick a lifeguard tower, which neither one of us can really remember which lifeguard
No,
tower number
I
it
kind of
was.
remember, but I don't even think that's. I don't know. That would be the right
Yeah.
one.
We've tried to like go back to it, but I don't remember which one it was. And yeah, you brought blankets and you put the blanket down on the lifeguard tower floor. It was like 11, maybe midnight at this point, and we just sat there and talked like for hours while we made s'mores, and you brought like water, and I think you brought like wine or something like
Mm,
that, and we just sat there and talked, and we had our first kiss that
yeah,
night, and then you brought me home, or no, you brought me back to
to
work
work.
because my car was at work.
Yeah, because we lived in opposite, so like I still had a. I lived in Redondo, kind of Redondo area, so like I would have to like go drop her off and still drive back, and she would have to drive all the way back to
Yeah, and I was literally in
Inland
the
Empire.
opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in the opposite direction. So, yeah, and I just remember thinking back and like telling my friends, like, no, guys, like, this is kind of special. I think this is gonna maybe lead somewhere.
And that was it, guys. 7 years later, we're here now.
7 years later. No, absolutely
It
not.
happened like that.
Absolutely not. There's no way that it
So,
happened that fast.
so the story, the more of the, I guess the, what is it?
Well, I
The
mean, yeah, I mean, we just to like, I guess close out that year. So we started dating in November of 2014. That literally a month later, we ended up spending Christmas together, and our families thought we were absolutely insane. Like,
yeah,
you just started dating this person,
why
and
would you bring him
you're
around?
bringing him home to like Christmas. I mean, my family wasn't like too crazy about it. Like, they weren't like freaking out, but I think your family was like,
Yeah,
who is this girl? And like, love all your sisters and everything now, but like it was so fast. Like we were moving so fast, but we were so in love. Like we were, not that we aren't, but like it was for sure not love at first sight, but that's what it felt like,
That I
you
just kind
know.
of knew.
Yeah.
It was just one of those moments where you just like knew there's something there, you know.
Yeah, and we both kind of distinguished that like
Yeah.
right from the beginning, that we just knew. We knew something was going on. But again, I think it's about timing and like where we were in our lives, and like that we were open to it. Like you had just gotten out of a really bad relationship. I was kind of just like having one night stands and like doing whatever I wanted to do, and I was kind of over it. Um, and yeah, and so we were in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
And
So shout out to that employee that she says she saw this coming this whole time.
yeah,
Uh,
she might listen to this,
yeah.
so
So shout out to her.
um,
But it was funny because like it was like 4 years later, and then we were at a party or at a work or something like that. I remember I came over, and she was just like, "You're just still together." I remember her saying like, "You guys are
mhm,
still together." Oh my god, like
yeah,
yeah. And she's like, "I have to be at you guys' wedding when it happens,"
yeah,
and
and I
like,
was like, okay, yeah,
so
for
it was
sure.
just funny, you know.
Yeah, and that is how we met, and that's how we started dating. I think it's honestly kind of like a real love story. I never believed in like love at first sight and all of that stuff before, and now I for sure know what they mean. Like when you know, you know.
Hmm.
But
So the
yeah.
end of the story is that she used me.
Oh my god. Okay, anyways, so we are going to move into a little game to see if you actually know me. We're going to
I don't
play the
know.
same game that I played with Alana. It's called Friend or Foe. So, how this game works is you're going to pick 3 cards, and I'm going to pick 3 cards, and we are going to answer it about the other person. We have level 2, 3, and 4 in front of us, so the questions are going to get kind of juicy, hopefully. Rudy is going to go first, but they're on this side where I'm at. So I'm going to pick them for him. Here you go. Read the first card.
What is the most adventurous thing I have done?
Um, while we were together, or like your
I
entire
don't know.
life?
I guess while we're
Um,
together.
while we've been together, honestly, Rudy went to Hawaii with me, and I would say jumping off that
I did
cliff.
not go to Hawaii with her. We went to Hawaii together.
Okay, okay. I'm
Gosh, it's not about the Hannah
sorry.
show.
Well, this is my show.
No.
But yeah, I would say jumping off the cliff. We
Yeah, that's
jumped
pretty
off
spontaneous.
a cliff together, and it went down into very, very deep waters at the North Shore in Oahu.
Yeah.
That's the
All right.
most adventurous thing you've ever done. Yeah, I'm right.
Yeah, when we're together, yeah.
Yeah. What were you gonna say?
No, I said when we're together.
Okay. Well, here's another card.
What is my hidden talent?
Mm, I think you have a couple actually.
I
Um,
absolutely have no hidden talents.
you could play the ukulele, and I feel like not a lot of your friends know that.
That's true.
You,
I could semi-play ukulele.
I mean, for the most part, you can,
Yeah.
and you'll figure it out. Um, I also just think like depending on how people meet you, they don't really know a lot about you in terms of like your knowledge. I guess like you amaze me. Like I don't know anything really about tech, and like Rudy's the number one reason why this podcast is even like a thing, because he helped me figure out everything, and like how things would work and how he could just do it easily and like not have to stress about all the IT and like techie part of it. So I think depending on where people meet you, I don't think they know like how much of like an IT person you really are.
Yeah,
Like
I think
he
so.
knows how to like take apart computers and completely put them back together. Like you can troubleshoot, and like I'd be like, what are you talking about? Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, cause yeah.
yeah.
But I mean, other like hidden talents, like people think, like I don't think I have anything like hidden talent like that.
I guess I think that's a hidden talent. Are you gonna read the question?
Do I use a washcloth or loofah or my hands to wash my butt in the shower? What kind of question
I
is
guess.
this?
Okay, you want to answer another one? You want to do another
No,
one?
just answer it.
Well, when I first met you, you were a washcloth boy. You loved washcloths.
No,
Yes?
not the standard washcloth that people think.
What do you mean?
I use like the rough washcloths. The washcloth
Well,
is like the
yeah.
towels, and I don't use washcloth.
Okay, well, yeah, you used a form of a washcloth, and now you are a loofah boy all the way because I use loofahs.
Hmm.
And so you kind of
Yeah,
transitioned.
I guess. All right.
All right, so my turn now. Rudy hates games. Oh, perfect, perfect, perfect. So my first question to you is, what is my go-to Starbucks order?
No idea.
Yours, oh my God, we go to Starbucks like every
I just
day.
know either has to do with white bean or
What?
something. I had a Starbucks. I only know what I like to order from Starbucks.
Oh my,
You just say like 27,000 things
that's
in your
true.
order.
That's true. Well, no, that's not true. Well, I don't have a go-to Starbucks order, I guess. Like I do order depending on like my mood for that day. Like sometimes I'll order what you
Something
get.
white vanilla bean
What are you
I don't know
even
what you're
saying? I
saying.
have never ordered a vanilla bean anything in my entire
Yes, you
life.
have, Hannah.
No, I haven't.
Uh,
Ever, 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 ever.
Macchiato something. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, sometimes I'll order a caramel macchiato. Or honestly, what it's been lately is the brown sugar
Ashley's
shaken.
probably gonna hate us. Right
Yeah,
now.
I know Ashley is. The brown sugar, oat milk shaken espresso is
How am
what
I
I've been.
supposed to know that? Like
'Cause
you hear that?
it's like the staple
Like do you
drink.
hear
What do
that?
you
How am I supposed to
mean?
know that?
What do you mean?
How am I supposed to know that?
Okay, well, that's already strike one. I got all three, so you have to get 2
No,
out of 3, babe. So I hope you know
Jesus,
the next 2.
that one didn't count.
Ooh, you're gonna get this one. What is my biggest pet peeve? I don't think I've ever said it on here. Just think about it. Think about it.
Mm,
Where did we go today, and why do I hate it?
being waking up earlier than 9 o'clock in the morning.
Rudy, I can't believe you just said that. That is not my biggest pet peeve.
It's not your biggest pet peeve? How do
No.
you yell at me every single day because you wake up
Because you wake
earlier
me up
than
early.
11 a.m.?
I don't wake up at 11 a.m.
Yes, you do.
The latest I'll wake up is maybe 9. Maybe.
All right. Well, I don't know, but I
Just
guess
think
like
about it.
because it's not a pet peeve, but like it's also her most anything that has to do with automobiles is her like her most nemesis against the world. And but I don't know if that's a pet peeve. Like
No, that's not what I was gonna say. I can't believe you didn't say
Hannah,
it.
I really remember what I did like an hour ago.
Okay, whatever. My
Wait,
biggest
don't think
pet
about it.
peeves.
Where did we go today?
Where did we go today that I hate, and why do I hate it there?
Trying to think what we did
Oh my
today.
God, we went to Costco, and I
Oh,
hate Costco,
Hannah,
and I
that's not a pet
absolutely
peeve.
no. This is a pet peeve, though.
No,
What
it's
I'm
not a
about to
pet
tell
peeve.
you.
You hate people.
Okay, yes, but that's not what I was about to say. I hate when people just
Oh, okay.
stop in the middle of a
Yeah.
lane, especially if they have a stroller or a freaking basket. I cannot stand it. When people are not being considerate of other people, how are you just gonna stop in the middle of a freaking aisle? Like, I don't understand. And Costco is notorious for all of this. There's so many people, and every single person has a basket. And there's always like multiple baskets with that person, and they're always stopping in the middle of the aisle, not letting anybody go, and it's just so chaotic and so hectic, and I can't stand it. It's my biggest pet peeve.
Well, there you go. There you have it, guys.
Dang, then you're not gonna win. I
I'm
hope
not
you
gonna
get this
win.
last one. Dang. Oh, I'm not. We're not asking that. We're not gonna ask that one. Mostly because you don't know, though. Okay, this is interesting. If I had to give a striptease, what song would I pick?
A Mariah Carey song.
Oh, 100%.
Or an Ariana Grande
Or
song.
Ariana. Yeah, it would probably be more Ariana.
Yeah.
Either one of them.
Probably 34 plus 35.
Yeah.
Would
Yeah.
be her song.
Let's just do one more easy one, okay? I'll pick from the easy pile. I don't know what that means. Sorry, guys. I'm picking these cards, and I'm not sure what that one means. Oh, what is my dream job?
Well, it's kind of changed over the years.
Yeah, it for sure has.
But originally when I met her, she wanted to be a publicist for
Yeah.
like somebody.
Yeah, that's true.
And then it went into just working in the entertainment industry.
Mm-hmm.
and then it went to like being some type of mentor for people, or like
Yeah.
teaching or counseling, something like that. And then now it's more like I don't want to do anything. I just want to travel the world, and that's the evolution of Hannah in the past.
Yeah, that's pretty true. Yeah. I would say, like, overall, I think I would still want to be like a tour manager, but like that also includes just like touring the world and like getting to see the world. So, yeah, that's 100% what you just said is the evolution of me. I really, really just want to travel now. Like, I want to travel everywhere and anywhere I can get my hands on. And yeah. All right, y'all. So I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Rudy's like about to tap out. He can't do this anymore.
Can't. And it's not because of the show. It's just my ADHD doesn't
Mhm.
allow me.
And I know you so well, so I know it's time to tap out. But that's okay. I think this was a really cool episode, and I'm very, very happy that you came on.
You're welcome.
Um, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and leave a review.
Moral of the story: if you get to the point where you feel like the guy wants to kidnap you and kill you, you should probably date him.
No, Rudy. Oh my God, that's so toxic. Like, don't say anything like that.
Well, look at us now.
Okay, whatever. But that was just like a brief moment in my thinking. But yeah, next week I should be joining, or Alana and Ashley should be joining to talk about more One Direction things, assuming that my equipment can come in on time. If not, don't worry, I'm going to have a schedule for August. So make sure to listen to next week's episode.
No, don't support One Direction.
Oh my gosh. Anyways, y'all, I hope you have a great week. And this was Honestly Hannah.